This week on C Plus News Time, Jake Johnson is house sitting for Fox, Jimmy Fallon is getting his own roller coaster ride, and there's now a streaming video hub for the very niche culture of sports and comedy fans. Listen, Deadspin, you're old news. Nobody wants to read that site anymore, but I do know people that want to read this. C Plus News Time.
It's C Plus News Time with your host, Chad White.
Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news you didn't know about for the week of October 26, 2015. There's a lot in the way of comedy news this week, so let's get right to it. Max Winkler and Jake Johnson are developing a house-sitting sitcom over at Fox. Dubbed House Sitter, of course, the show is going to be produced by both Johnson and Winkler, as well as being co-written by Matt Bass and Teddy Bressman, who happen to be old assistants of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. The show is based on Jake Johnson's real-life friend, Brian Farrell, who's an actor, friend, and house sitter, of course, and he's going to be a consultant on the show. And it follows a house sitter who lives life according to his own set of rules. He turns your day-to-day existence into his vacation, your mundane into his adventure, and your bathrobe into his bathrobe. Bass and Bressman are also writing Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's produced film The Politician, which is supposed to take a supernatural twist on the buddy cop movie. Speaking of buddy cop movies, Jake Johnson was in this movie called Let's Be Cops with Damon Wayans Jr. It's a buddy cop movie. That's in the end of the sentence. Next up, Jimmy Fallon is getting his own ride at Universal Studios in 2017. It was announced this past week on Tuesday's Tonight Show that Fallon will be getting his own ride from the company that brought you such rides as the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Shrek 4D. Now, this new ride is going to be featuring Fallon and is called Race Through New York with Jimmy Fallon. And you're going to be able to go through New York and he'll give you tours and stuff. And it'll be like he's sitting right next to you. Of course, this isn't the first rodeo for Universal, who's done these things with both Harry Potter and Shrek. As previously mentioned, they were okay and they lasted anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and you just fly around Hogwarts or you go through Shrek's swamp and you get these weird smells and farts and all this stuff. The farts, of course, come from Shrek. Now, Fallon couldn't say anything about the ride, but he did give a little hint in his own Fallon-esque way because he's so eccentric. The ever ecstatic host said things like, there's going to be water, there's going to be scents, there's going to be mists. And of course, he said nothing else because he's afraid of losing everything at once. So, of course, you can wait till 2017 to hear more about that, or you can just close your eyes, turn on the Tonight Show, and pretend you're going on a ride with Jimmy Fallon at that moment in time. And finally, Lorne Michaels' Broadway video is in the news for a second time in 2 weeks. Last week, I brought you the news that he is producing a show over at Comedy Central called Detroiters that's going to be featuring Jason Sudeikis. But now this week, we got news that he's also helping to produce a website. Yes, of course, now the Broadway video is helping produce The Kicker, which is brought to you by Brian Tucker, the co-head writer of Saturday Night Live. It's a website that's dedicated to mixing the niche of sports and comedy for fans of both casual and dedicated alike. The Kicker is going to take a different view of sports news and video content every day, and of course use the likes of celebrities and athletes. In a prepared statement, Tucker wrote, "The Kicker brings a world-class network of comedic talent to make our content great. After years writing sketches for professional athletes on Saturday Night Live, I've learned how to work together to make them funny. We're all working toward one goal, to entertain the sports fan." The Kicker's already launched this past week and of course features the likes of SNL alum Andy Samberg and Kenan Thompson, as well as Weird Al Yankovic, Wyclef Jean, and the great JB Smoove. Head on over to the Kicker's website in order to enjoy that daily hilarious sports comedy content that you've all craved so much. And that's all the news I have for you on this week's News Time. Why don't you subscribe and watch one of our other videos? Also, leave a like and a comment. I love hearing from people that don't watch this at all. Of course, you can head over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, as well as like us on Facebook, tumble with us on Tumblr, follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy, follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite, and pin us on your Pinterest board, nap with us on Napster, friend with us on Friendster, my with our spaces, and I'm sure I'm forgetting any other social network out there. But anyway, this is great. I love you, and have a good day. I'm going to bow now. There we go.